So it's time to start getting our computer ready to enjoy programming in Java. Now, Java is built up on a library of pre-built classes. So you can think about it as someone's already gone to the trouble of creating a lot of the complex systems that Java uses. All we have to really do is use some of those classes to create our own custom code and create our own unique solutions. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download what's called the Java Development Kit. It's often called the JDK. And go to download. Now you can see the first link that comes up here is from a company called Oracle. So Oracle owns the rights for Java. And when you come to the website, and it may be slightly different at the time of when you go to download it, but you'll basically find they have different versions of the Java Development Kit. You may ask yourself, why are these and which ones do I download? Well, there's some simple rules of thumb. The one at the top is always going to be the latest, most recent. So this will have, all of the fancy bells and whistles, latest security pieces, all the new toys. Now, the only downside of using some of the new features is the way that Java works is the host computer, so whoever's running your program, needs to have what's called the Java runtime environment. And that means they too would also have to update to the latest version. For personal computers, this is not a big deal. But in some corporate settings, the corporate IT department would have to review and vet and do a bunch of things to ensure that the latest release is safe for their environment. So sometimes, they'll only allow older versions, like version 8 as an example. So which one you download doesn't really matter for this first course. When we get into doing things like JavaFX later, sometimes some of these older versions are actually easier because all the JavaFX tools are bundled, whereas here they're separate downloads. But all we're going to do is click on JDK download. And when you come down, you basically just need to look for your type of operating system. So most of you will likely have a Windows machine, in which case you should choose this Windows installer. Obviously, if you have a Mac, this DMG is usually the easier way to roll. So I'm going to show it on Windows. So I'm going to click on download. And I've read those before, so I'm going to say download. And it will probably prompt you to create an Oracle account. There's no cost to this. There's no fees. I'd recommend using your college student credentials just because you are downloading it as a student, but really any account you want to set up will be fine. It's an open source software package. So again, this is the Java Development Kit that we're going to download. You can see it's downloading up here. Okay, so now it's ready. And when I run this, it's going to want me to run it as an administrator. So you can see on my computer, I'm not logged in as an administrator. I have to enter a special password for that. You would do something similar on yours if required. And now my machine's going to start the installation process. So this installs it. It's very simple and very quick. It's going to put everything in the default directory as C, program files, Java, and then there's the JDK there. So I'll just say next. And it's successfully installed. So if I go to my file manager, if I go C, then I go to my program files, here I can see all the different Java development kits that I've installed over the last little bit. Now this is my latest one, JDK here, 14. And in here, there's a bunch of things that you don't need to know the details of. There's a bunch of dynamically linked libraries and whatnot, but this is basically the building blocks of Java. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a program called Hello World. Okay, so this installs it into our environment, but we can't really do much with it yet. So I'm going to show you how to create a program and just a basic text editor. Later in the course, we're going to actually use a development environment called IntelliJ, which makes our life a lot easier. But just to give you an idea of what's really happening here, the Java, these Java libraries basically get linked together during the compilation process, and we're going to convert, source code that is human readable into what's called bytecode, and then that bytecode will be run on the Java virtual machine on whatever the host computer is, and that'll convert it into actual binary code, zeros and ones that the computer can use to run. So let's build our first program. So every program, most programming languages, the first thing you want to build is called Hello World. So I'm going to create a file here, save as, and let's just put this right in our desktop. Why not? I'm going to call this Hello World. I already have one on there, so I'm going to call this Hello World 2.java. And what happens is we're going to say, first thing we're going to build is called a class, and it has to have the exact same name as the file. If you don't, it actually won't compile. So it's Hello World 2, and then I have these curly braces. So in programming, you'll see this in a lot of languages, these curly braces indicate the start and finish of something. So here on line 1, I'm declaring a class, and the start of it's on line 1, and the end of it is on line 3. And in the middle, I'm going to put in a method. And a method is a way of getting the computer or the program to do something. There's a special method in Java called the main method. And when you use it, this is where the program will start running. So for now, you can just blindly type this. We're going to type public static void main string. And again, this is the start and end. All right, so I always have matching brackets. So for the main method, it has to follow this exact pattern where it says it's publicly accessible, it's static, there's no return type. That's what void means. It has to be called main, lowercase, and this word string, it starts with uppercase. So Java is case sensitive. You have to type things exactly. All class names start with uppercase letters, and then 2 square brackets and args for arguments. And in here, I'm going to give it a command. So I'm going to say system out print, and that's print new line. So it'll say hello world, just made some. It's a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is a whole program, right? So I've defined a class up here on line 1. I've defined a method on line 2. And this particular method is a special method that will, in fact, be run. The program always starts with the main method. So I've saved it and close it. Now, this Java directory where we've installed our Java development kit, it's actually not really intended to be a code repository. Need to keep permissions for these. Okay, so I can't just easily put things in there. But I'm going to do it just for now, and in a subsequent video, I'm going to show you how to set up the system variables so that you don't need to do this anymore. So let's grab my file off the desktop. And copy that. And go down to, let's go down to this particular directory here, JDK 1401. And try to paste that in. Okay, so now our file's in here, right? So we've got our Java development kit, we've got our program file, and then we need to run it. So if we want to run it, we actually can bring up this command prompt. I'm going to run it as an administrator, so I right-click on it, run it as administrator. And if you're not familiar with the command prompt, it actually is sort of an old DOS, early versions of Windows type of way of navigating around. It's also similar to a Linux type system. So I need to navigate to this directory. So I'm going to do cd for change directory, and then c program files /java /JDK 1401. Okay, so now I'm inside that directory. I have access to that file, so I'm going to compile. So I say Java compile hello. So it runs. It doesn't complain, so that's good. If there is a problem, it'll produce an error here, and then I can just say Java, which is going to call my Java virtual machine, and pass in my program name, and it will run. And so here we can see, hello world, I just made a simple program, right? So it prints this to the screen.